The return of the great departed soul. Oh yeah, the great exhibition.
The grand end of the century Great Exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear of it. Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park, welcoming over 50 million visitors. The last great hurrah of this century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success. But as regards to the terrible catastrophe that occurred during the festivities, very few are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case. And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to light.
Huh. Oh, it's still going.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely packed with people. The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
Steam engines and electricity.
Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies.
We're gonna have to wait a little bit on that.
And today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future. A world first. A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Kinesis machine. What the fuck is
Will
this?
literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location.
Oh no. No. That's all bad.
Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before.
Sir?
In but a few moments from now, this gentleman will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
What the fuck? That man gonna fucking die. Yep. It's 22nd October. Okay. Luna, are you listening? Oh, sorry, what was that, Iris? What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast? Oh, no, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again? Today's paper. It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again. Ah, yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime. You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Hurley? Did you say something, Iris? Oh gosh, you're even more down. Whoa! When did you arrive, Mr. Naruto? I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together? What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here, you know, because... breakfast? Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce the reason perfectly well with some simple observations. What? Let's see, yes. For example, your tousled hair this morning, with all its unruly spikes. Clearly can be deduced, therefore, that... let me stop you right there, Mr. Shaw, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Ha 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 ha. Thanks again. It crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now. 6 months since I was forbidden from working in court. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Hurley? Did you say something, Iris? The game is afoot. Definitely not shown, that's for sure. Ah, back to moping. So why was he banned? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me. I know, and a great exhibition has opened. You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go see it together? Oh, I want to, of course I do, but I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective after all. So you were embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from, is that it? I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Hurley. I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. The event 6 months ago. Half a year ago now. I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much more far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable yet at the same time unforgivable mistake. Wait, what? Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruto. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. Also, I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing. You have, haven't you, Runa? Reading all those big fat tomes about British law up in your room, and then notes about, Sholmes' old cases. Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruto. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers to be, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that to be, or that be to reconsider. Specifically Lord, Strongheart, at the British Supreme Court on Whitehall. Lord Strongheart? Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice, not my favorite fellow. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. But I can't do that just sitting around here. Huh. So wait, what happened? Wait, what happened during that trial again? So then the pawnbrokery thing, and then wait, what happened during the trial? That was oh, God, my mind's already foggy on exactly what we did during that case. The whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching. Oh, you know what I like to do. I like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons. Look down on? Do you mean those things fly? Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air. But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I can't understand it at all. That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. But in 100 years' time, all these things will be just common knowledge. I suppose they might be. Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. When something went wrong in the on the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently, there was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are. Says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here. Every page of this paper carries some article or other about the great exhibition. Let the brighter things shine. The darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. Okay, Mr. Edgelord. Shadows cast behind? Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Oh my god, my relatives are so freaking loud. Every article on the front page is about the Great Exhibition. Public experiments to demonstrate brand new scientific ideas. Cultural exhibits from around the globe. It's all so positive and hopeful about the coming century. We all must go to see it properly before too long. So a case 1-5. Oh wait. Oh, was where I found guilty of perjury because McGilded was actually guilty. Oh, right. And Susato tampered with the crime scene. Oh yeah, with the cat door thing. Oh, right. Right, okay, thanks for reminding me. Wait. The Reaper attacked? Irison mentions. Yeah. So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition, and everything that's going on around here. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what? What's the matter, Runa? The Reaper attacked? That's Lord Van Zeeks! This must be what Mr. Shones was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? Hospital. There's the gas company. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add. That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shh! Quiet, Mr. Naruto. You must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening. You're acting very strangely, Hurley. What do you mean, Iris? Well, usually, the more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood. Huh. Is it really a case that's bothering you? Iris, please! You must exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say. Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. Practice what you preach, Mr. Sholmes. You say that, do you? You... Mr. Sholmes. Oh, never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. But Sholmes is perfect. It says on the paper that Lord Van Zieks was attacked. That's terrible. You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes. Prosecutor Barrick Van Zieks. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruto? Yes, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Van Zieks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time. He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take those attacks lying down. Although, it seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness, is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zieks hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zieks and his condition, all be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition. Hey! Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No, I can't wait until tomorrow. In that case, you shall have to inquire with somebody in the know. But who? Lord Stronghart, perhaps. You change fast. Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you'll be wasting your time. Look, the thought hadn't crossed my mind, but now I'm wondering where you're going. Well then, see you later indeed. Primitive printing press. Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door. Ooh! That's a cute little get-up. Cute little helmet buns too. Alright then, Runa. Let's get going. Oh, Iris, what are you wearing? I got changed to I got changed to go to the Great Exhibition. You're going to take me. What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court. Oh, well, that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there too. You're holding me at gunpoint. Alright, fine. Just lower that weapon, would you? Oh, of course. And after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to see the Great Exhibition. What to do? I'm so excited about the prospect of Naruhodo's Anything Consultancy opening for business again. That's not what it's called, it's Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. I've done a lot of studying in the past 6 months, reading law texts and judicial precedents. I'm sure I'm a better lawyer now. Can't wait to start practicing again. There's nothing changing here at all though, has it? It's as though time has stood still here since Susie went back to Japan. I wanted to keep it ready for Mr. Sato in case she was able to return to Britain at any point. So I just left everything the way it was. Oh, I see, right. And there was me thinking, it's because of the way you are, Runa. You know, never bothering to tidy up, I mean. Iris, this isn't the time or place to bring up my tidiness. Or lack of it. The kettle's gently simmering away there on top of the stove as usual. It was kind of Mr. Sato to send that Japanese tea. You really like it, don't you, Iris? But for me, it's the sound of the stove and, burbling kettle that I like the most. On biting winter mornings. And it feels even cozier in here when the delightful Iris pours the tea for me. I really couldn't manage without that wonderful young girl. Oh, Runa, it's so sweet of you to say so. Stop putting words in my mouth, please, Iris. Now, at first glance, my desk here might look as though it's in a mess. However, it's not a mess at all. Everything's exactly where I want it to be. But whenever Mrs. Sato looked at it, she'd put her hands on her hips and say, "Oh dear." Her way of saying that I should make it more orderly and a neat mess. I miss that. You sound just like Hurley, you know. He says the same thing about his mess. It's the kind of logic that transcends international borders, obviously. Oh, let's get going. Why does it keep the birds there? It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. Why is she trying to look like Mickey Mouse? Oh yeah! Some things never change. Like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. It doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all though. She's happily reading over there. Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here. Of course, I was forgetting that you've been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. When Susato-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan. I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Strongheart. I trust you've been, keeping well. Let's see. Since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while. My apologies. Oh no, not at all. It's not like, I like nothing more than standing around and staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Mal Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. You need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result, policing the grounds, guarding the new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I have not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future. The world must embrace it. As we're the hosting nation, I have much to do. And it is my highest priority. If others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, if you wish to consult with me, of course, I can well imagine what this is about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I want to be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind as it happens. Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition. Of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? The Reaper attacked. Ah, that. Wait, women form new suffrage group. What was this other one? In rather unexpected, King Christian VIII of Denmark issue proclamation reconsidered. Wait, I wonder if they like foreshadow anything here. Let me see. Flowery ball gown sets dance hall ablaze. One of the lady attendees dresses accidentally caught on fire. In her panic at the sudden appearance of flames at her feet, the lady dashed madly about the whole of the... Skeleton captures bumbling burglar? So wait. London's top prosecutor, Baron Van Zeek's life came under threat. Group of heavily armed assailants brandishing knives and pistols ambushed him at night. The sighted Reaper of the Balian's companion valiantly keeping the mob of blackguards at bay was captured by this reporter. Huh. You've enjoyed some victories in my court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not? Oh, Mr. Reaper, what happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he? There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zeeks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well. If it interests you. It does, strangely. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in court as a lawyer was revoked and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend somebody under the rules of a foreign justice system. And I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes! Here he comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriots. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on the study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. The tragic accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. Mr. Asagi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I had to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it never occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? He's not making any sense. Never mind. I've read all the reports you submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean? As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you! Thank you so much! That's wonderful news, Bruno. In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. A curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course! Please, tell me more. You described it as a curious affair. Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no. Oh, yes, I've read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see, how was it described? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, I think. Instantaneous kinesis, as in moving things with the click of the fingers? That's right. It's just what my herbal blend need. A dash of devil-may care. Oh. Alright, I'm out. I guess we want. No, I was kidding. Whatever the serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. Adi Asman. Wait, what's the pun here? Or is it? An investor and a well-known figure in society. A large explosion? A man died? Wait, oh, Odious Man? Odious Man. Oh. How's how you doing, Bertzi? The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Hair. was Professor Albert Harebrain. He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow. I can figure that out on my own. On the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at prison. There is very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The Great Exhibition, a scientific experiment gone wrong, and murder. I feel out of my depth before I've even started. Still, we should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this German professor, don't you think? Definitely. Ah, yes. One more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh, with Lord Van Zieks? How? Fortunately, Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter. But that's incredible. They were armed with guns. How's the attack though? Do we know? It's related to events that occurred a month ago. The leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zieks. But the man was acquitted, and that no large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Large sums of money? A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday. But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchmen certainly seemed to think so. He was a man by the name of Asman. Mr. Audi Asman. Oh, what the heck? Did you say Asman? That's the man who died in the big explosion at the Great Exhibition. Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant criminal organization. Unbelievable. I wonder, could I ask you something, Lord Strongheart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Van Zieks, as a prosecutor? All the criminals who manage to get off in court, then meet with mysterious ends outside of the courtroom. And fearful of their fate, they seek to strike at Lord Van Zieks first. I know there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here. I have Van Zieks work for the prosecution service for two reasons. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. Well, that doesn't make sense. How can you explain the many ways so many have died, if not by someone's hand? Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer. So he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world that coincide with the Great Exhibition. And next month, the largest and most important of them of all will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly. Oh! London, the global epicenter of culture, science, wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate. So it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. Which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly. The future of policing. Oh. Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly. It's extremely alarming. Oh my god. If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you can be sure the numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London will be very different to the current figures. And I can cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail every one now. Oh, what? Oh, how fascinating. It all began 15 years ago. I was blah 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 blah. We survived! And that more or less sums up my feelings on the matter. In the simplest of terms, of course. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard. That is my mission. Oh, right, yes. Well, that's wonderful. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Iris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now. Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful? I actually drifted off for the most part. He's surprisingly ardent about forensic science. Oh my god. Well, I must be leaving for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues may be starting to fidget. Maybe we could have trimmed off like 10 hours without that recitement there. 11 hours late? That's quite something. That meeting had already started when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. Oh yes, where would I find Lord Van Zeeks now? I would assume he's at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I'm leaving Professor Harebrain's defense entirely in your hands. Of course, yes. Thank you very much, my lord. Okay, so before we continue, I need to get more water. Didn't realize I'd be drinking through so much already at this point. So I'm gonna go be right back. I'm gonna get a drink. In case this might be an extended break, well, blame the relatives. So yeah, be right back. I'm back. Okay, thankfully things weren't awkward at all. But also, I need a snack. I got these leftover pieces of coffee flavored candy. Which, I've been getting more used to, but not exactly my favorite flavor, but unfortunately I exhausted every other flavor that I liked out of this box. So let me go open one real quick. Cause yeah, I just want a snack right now. I was thinking about getting some of those ramen chips, but they're a little bit too much on the salty side, and I had to go on another water break probably within the hour if I eat that. Not liking coffee flavor. I mean, when you have like other choices of like vanilla and other vanilla and stuff, like come on. Always Oh my goodness. Oh my god, that you can see all of his extra chalices. Best flavor. Fish and chips candy? Ooh, so this is the legendary Reaper's office. Yes, it appears so. Ah, it sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere. Oh, is that? That hooded figure was so still I hadn't noticed his or her presence. I wonder who it is. What are you doing here? Oh! He's as welcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see that you're well. Hey, Detail. I am. So, who's the person over by the wall being, punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh. That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. I didn't know you had an apprentice. Must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. He's very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper. I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming, that is, such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. Huh? Lord Strongheart said that the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack. True. Carried out by henchmen of Odiasman's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably, some hoped to kill me before that happened. Odiasman. He's always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. But his enormous wealth came to him by underhanded means, via his criminal activities. And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper. But the man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances, it was the most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis, blah 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 blah, gone wrong. Mr. Asman died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? Well, no. That does seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death at least. It's strange how this has worked out, isn't it, Runa? I mean, what with you talking on the professor's defense for the trial tomorrow? What? You're going to be defending him? Oh, yeah, that's right. Though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert. Albert Harebrain. That's right. Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. You're... What? I had understood that Professor Harebrain was from Germany, though. Harebrain's from a respectable British family. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research. That's all. So you were students together? I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in Science, so our paths rarely crossed. Reaper as friends plot twist. But curiously, we got along, though I've not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Only if I can get out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, I know. Because the prosecution will be handled by me. By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor have been friends. We are friends. It's true. Then why would you do this? If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed. What's Lord Van Zeek's thinking? Prosecuting your own friend from school? Oh, that has to be real rough. What do you mean by what you said before? If you'd like to know the Reaper's true identity, does that mean... I'm a crown prosecutor and immortal like any other. I'm no demigod. But they've all died, haven't they? The people you've prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal. Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. People who without question deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But... that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all. Nor was Ginny. In fact, she's ever so hardworking now. I can't deny that since I've encountered you, things have taken a turn. But the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hand of their own kind. It's not my work. Old Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way. But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true. The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh, it would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful of their lives. Or made fearful of their lives. Do you mean to say... I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves as a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly, and with honor. But it's putting you in danger! You could be killed! If that is my fate, let God decide. Or Van Zeek's. really looks like a punishment to me. I've never seen someone sitting like that before. He hasn't moved a muscle since we arrived. You think perhaps he's dead? If he was dead, Bruno, he wouldn't be sitting up, would he? Well, anyway, dead or alive, he's not overly approachable, is he? I don't think he's going to talk to us. He's not dead. Ooh, look! It's a scale model of the Great Exhibition Showground. That's amazing. I wonder why it's here. Perhaps he made it to take his mind off the sadness of being too busy to attend in person. Or perhaps he's too embarrassed to queue up for a ticket. Surely it's obvious that I'm using it as an investigative aid. Oh! Japanese have no business painting others as overly reserved. I really didn't think he'd overhear that. A portrait really dominates the room, doesn't it? It's a very majestic outfit and pose. But sadly, whoever painted it didn't do a very good job of capturing Lord Van Zeek's facial features. Yes, you're right. I mean, it's not far off, but the artist has exaggerated his subject's handsomeness, I think. Oh, that reminds me. I heard that Emperor Napoleon of France ordered artists to make him look more attractive when they painted him. How vain. That's not really an attractive quality in a person, is it? That portrait does not depict me. Surely that's immediately obvious. Oh, then, who is it? Lord Van Zeek's desk. Look, it's so stylish. And there's a marble chess set beside it. Chess? That's the Western version of our Japanese shogi game, isn't it? You know, I'm actually quite good at shogi problems. Oh, really? You'd probably like chess problems in that case. I'd love to challenge Lord Van Zeek sometime. To a bout of shogi problems. If only you, if you only really want to challenge yourself, you can always do that at your, you can always, yeah, man, I can't read tonight. You can always do that on your own at home. Look at that fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles neatly lined up there. Our hallowed bottles are filled with the essence of the finest grapes from the finest vineyards I visit. And I personally oversee these chalices being made by the finest crystal craftsmen in the world. And yet you break them every other moment in a trial. And yet you throw them around in court like they were worthless. Yes, because this imbecile is so unimaginably and repeatedly wide of the mark sometimes. Oh. Before you open your mouth this time, you should consider the poor artisans whose work you defile. So, it's my fault. Silly me, how could I have ever thought otherwise? What, those chalices are ruined every time Ryunosuke speaks, duh. Look at all these ancient casts lining the wall there. Casts in the Reaper's chamber. Or are they caskets? You don't think all those people who escaped conviction in our court are lying inside them dead, do you? What ridiculous notions are going through your head, man? This is my collection of fine vintages. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for clearing that up. Bruno and I were just musing to ourselves. Don't mind us, Mr. Reaper. I wouldn't if you hadn't invited yourselves to my office to talk nonsense within my earshot. Oh, there were bats! Yes, the Reaper's familiars, I'd expect. What about the mute man in the dark cloak? I thought he was the familiar. Just not the flying kind. He must be a dear friend of Mr. Reaper then. I think the familiar idea is more likely. Scary though, either way. He's just happily reading on the bed. The warden said cell 11. That's this one. Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look. What's his name again? Professor Albert Hairbrain, was it? Excuse me. Professor Hairbrain. Who are you? I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a defense a lawyer! Oh, was this something I said? A lawyer, you say? Would you be here about the experiments? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis. Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's demonstration! That magnificent demonstration was... It was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations. But despite that, no one listens. No lawyer believes in the science. When it's explained, they all leave at high velocity. Now's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while there too. You mentioned that the demonstration yesterday. Or sorry, you mentioned the demonstration yesterday. The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he? Ah! Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense. The experiment was a failure, but at the same time, it was a great success. You lost me. I saw with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Asmund was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the Crystal Tower by instantaneous kinesis. However, the machine exploded and Mr. Asmund in fact perished. Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Asmund was an accident, correct? But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder. I was responsible for the man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that I wish to be punished at once. But murder? Never in a million years. It was an accident. Simply an accident. I see. Hurley and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder. How exactly? Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody. On what grounds? Ah, yes. It's newly established here in Britain. The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by. But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine was the murder weapon, and they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My precious hypothesis will be stolen. That machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative that this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial. Ah, I see now. So in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition Shogun yesterday. Yes! Or rather, no! That wasn't in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion. Sounds like the same to me. You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating. Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it must be possible using a sufficiently high voltage to break these bonds and beam the particles through space. That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you see. That's my amazing hypothesis. Gosh, that's unimaginably high-level science. Oh, but dare to imagine it. Dare to dream of incredible technology. Just think. One moment I could be here in this cell, and the next, I could be at the Great Exhibition again. Well, yes, that would be incredible. And the next, in a mere blink of an eye, I could be at a great, Parisian theater, say. The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach. So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for over 50 days. I don't really see it like that. What do you mean, Iris? Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk. My word, that's exactly right. What are the implications? What does this mean? Oops, that got Professor Bunnybrain really worried by the look of it. Clearly, this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. The point is, my calculations are flawless. The science works. But without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's why and that's always the fly in the ointment. Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have. That's exactly it, yes. Hurley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science. Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman. The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? Oh, excuse me. The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Adi Asman, wasn't it? What exactly was your relationship with the man? He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany over a year ago now. He said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypothesis. I thank my lucky stars. I see, so you haven't really known each other until then. Money for scientific research. I'm so envious. Well, as far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. Oh, really? An archangel even. He was prepared to fund a practical demonstration of my hypothesis for the presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Asman provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications. But then, your dreams were blown to dust in one enormous explosion. As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Asman. I would never, ever have thought of taking the man's life. Well, he seems genuine though. I don't think he's lying. How could this have happened? It must feel awful as well as the man losing his life. The Crystal Tower is greatly damaged too. I know what happened. It must have been that. That? The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of frankfurters at the hotel restaurant. When I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pocket. They're still there now. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is. Bruh. For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Oh. miss what people might say. Oh. Ah, fascinating, yes. In Japan, where I come from, it's the symbol of a defense lawyer. Wearing it is very bracing, I find. The words make some sense to me, but they're entirely illogical. What do you mean? Well, for example, I find this white laboratory coat that I wear for my work very bracing too. However, in my case, there's a perfectly logical reasoning for that feeling. Oh really? What is it? I purchased the wrong size by mistake. This one's too small for me. The sleeves, especially, are extremely bracing. I could barely move my wrists. That's what you call logical, isn't it? Of course! It's entirely logical. That's science, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah. I know you've seen this around my arm before, but what is it exactly? It's the mark of a defense lawyer. In Japan, at least. And what's your reason for showing it to a British prosecutor? Oh, well, I don't know, really. I can understand, at least. There's merit in reminding yourself who helped you become what you are today. Oh. But that's a personal matter. Something you may want to keep close at all times. Not something to flaunt. No, I suppose not. Thank you for understanding, though. Ah, did I not? Huh? Okay, so then maybe... Huh. Wait, am I missing a new location? No. So we tried talking and presenting, and huh. What am I missing? I'd like to have a go-to. Ah. I'm pretty sure there's nothing to examine around here. So then, huh. What else am I missing here then? Oh. The Reaper attacked. It's the kingpins of the criminal underworld generally managing to escape conviction in the Reaper's trials. And this isn't the first time their henchmen have tried to attack Lord Van Zeeks as a result by the sound of it. It makes you think, if that's how the justice system works in London, then there must be dark forces at work. Is that it? Huh. So you had to write all those lines just for one person's name, isn't it? Or just for one person's name. Kanji is funny, isn't it? That's right, never mind my feelings about my best friend. It's lines I really want to talk about. It's already presented. Oh, I thought I showed that to him already. Yes. It seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me. It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though. Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. But there's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him. He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say he's my apprentice, I suppose. Ah, like you are to Hurley then, Runo. I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective. He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack. It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. On Lord Strongheart's orders. Nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity. But why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual? Lord Strongheart's orders again. He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be good reason for his actions. I hope you're right. Oh, I wonder who this is. Ah. The task is complete. Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs. Clearly suspicious indeed. Oh my god, it's so fucking obvious who this is. Nice to meet you. Back to work again. That was really strange though. I never met the man before. I didn't know he existed, and yet somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. I wonder who this mysterious masked individual is. Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody from outside this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my princess anyway? Huh? Oh, no, I mean, Sorry, I didn't mean to. The way you stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It couldn't be. Was it obvious? Oh, it's the Russian military guy. Oh, I see. Oh, I knew it all along, man. Man, I'm just really thirsty tonight. I might have to go for a second water break later. Ah, yes. There's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nipponese man. Is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago. With the stoop, and the mustache, and the jitters. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean? I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runa. Oh, he's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion there, don't you? There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I'd advise you spend it on investigating the case. Yes, thank you for the advice. And for the conversation. I can't believe he's asking after Suzuki-san. After a Nipponese. Why they have the same Nipponese? I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried. I never imagined that Mr. Reap would be friends with the mad scientist, did you? That's a turnout for the books. A mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Hairbrain? Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Van Zieks then. With Lord Van Zieks, I think. I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days. Ah, yes, that's right. He was studying the law while I was studying science. What was he like back then? Good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, an all-around nice fellow, really. Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Baron Van Zieks. What was he like at university? Talk about it being questioned, Bruno. As I said, an unassuming, extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is a little darling, of the Van Zieks family, with all its great aristocratic origins. I didn't realize he had such, I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood. Little darling? It was a bit of a shock when I came to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper, the Bailey, no less. Yes, that's right. I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation. Really? What sort of event? I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already. Oh, yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? And you had no intention to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work, correct? As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear it! Yes, it's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still! I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life, not in a centillion years. I'm a man of science, that's all I know. You have to believe me, I swear, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, all my life. I'm afraid I don't know much about science, or your theories, but I do believe in you. And I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law. It's all I know. You have to believe me. Please. When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything. Thank you for that, Professor. And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court. Alright, Bruno. It's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition. Sorry? Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it? Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate at last. Programs are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now. I felt myself swooning 3 times. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too. Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. I finally made it through the throngs though, by the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. Sounds like an argument. Oh. Well. Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh yeah? Well, go on, Spectre, give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it. Wait, I know those voices. You got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners. Just try it, I dare ya, if you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yoo-hoo, Gregsy! What are you doing up there? He just runs right down. Oh! Ah! It's you! Here! You're here! Here you are! Your ladyship! How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in the balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable! I'll have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. Oh, watch it, sunshine. Sorry. What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Dear me. That's the situation. Is it? Is it really that troubling? A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't ya? You could stand to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Narado. What? Hey! That's my last bit of spending money, that is! Now you can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob. This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket, or diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, eh, Otto? Diver? Pickpocket? What's all the name calling? You want a bag of chips ran down your throat and all, do ya? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assume you've been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Otto. Half a year's a long time, people can change. I'm an apprentice now. I'm gonna be a Scotland Yard detective. So you have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. Ooh. Cool. Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. The inspector part is entirely accurate. No one calls it that. For what it's worth anyway. Investigating's off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright? Right, sir. The lore dump. This raises a lot of questions. It was 8 months ago. It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with the case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective. You got it? Good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. And there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? Said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull all the stops looking for him. Just a small promise then, nothing serious. Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how I had, that's how come I come and had to go at the test for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem. Nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Greggsy and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her, a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson, and brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So, the long and short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Ooh, what, Bruno, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in the trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet, here she is, still... Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called. Gore! Yeah, you don't have a worry, Otto. I didn't half worry. There probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. And it's like I told you before, innit? The Reaper's kinda like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside, and that I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be stretching a point. What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly. So I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. Corey was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled out a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly started billowing smoke. Then just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. Sorry? You mean you saw Ginny with your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? of keeping everything, running smooth, I mean. The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's going to take some getting used to. So all I have to say, is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right? Right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. Well, you see, or we'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, right. Well, it was a success, in a way. It was? How can it have been? What, did it actually like shoot him through the wall, but then he died from the drop? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke in that whopping great bang. But where'd you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the Crystal Tower over there. What? In the tower? You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there, above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage, cage with the victim, got in to start with. But they did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So, you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I didn't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off here before, so fair is fair. Give me back my fucking money. Yes, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. But what it's worth anyway. Investigating's off the cards for all of us. Yes, naughty old Gracie ran off, after that without explaining himself. Oh, right, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate either. Why? What did the boss call them again? The Forensic Investigation Team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, ain't it? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. I thought I could have a gander on the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. Yo, you say something to him, Otto. Go on. See if you can get through to him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine exploded is. Well, we can try, can't we, Bruno? Gregsy will listen to us. Oh, look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth. Huh, it's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. Looks extremely durable. Hot air balloon? It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. The edges appear to be charred as well. Maybe that means it has something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. For some reason the ground is damaged in this spot. Look! It's almost as if there was a fire here or something. Yes, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers too. Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been. I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Runa. Ah, it looks as though someone dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hid? What's this? Some sort of machine that exploded. Is this some kind of elaborate crossbow? Like, you have like a handle thing here to hold, if that's what I think it is. This is where you put the bolt. And then like this little thing, like you can pull back and then it just like shoots forward. Or something. Some kind of weird ass steampunk crossbow. I mean, I'd be down for it. Even though this is the age of like gunpowder and stuff. Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. Yeah, wait. This really is like a crossbow, isn't it? Huh. I really can't investigate. Oh, there we go. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. Oh. Oh, it's like a compact crossbow, or like a more portable one. So I was right with the crossbow. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. A crossbow gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing too. It looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using this device then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate than a Japanese longbow. I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. This groove here, it must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right, it is some sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with the bowstring 2 times out of 3. That's kinda sad. In fact, if I had one of these, I would get a bean Cosmo in Kyudo archery training. That'd be kinda cheating, wouldn't it? Cool. It looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. Never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Sholmes' methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. But the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. Huh. The Crystal Tower is certainly an apt name. It was built to be the official focal point of the exhibition. And it definitely is, being so tall with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. And I heard you had to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly it's not the crystal tower anymore, but the crystal glass shower. Apparently everyone's taken to the skies now to look down at the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. And those must be very patient people. That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis or whatever they call it, dead of course. And yet they're calling the experiment a success. What's the wooden scaffold there for? The coppers, our lads set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Don't know really. Didn't you help to erect the scaffold then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing, wandering around the exhibition keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Bond Gregson doesn't hear you saying anything like that or will give you the boot. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap in by some sort of invisible kinesis? I've been meaning to ask you for a while now, but what are those funny round blobs floating in the sky? Oh, they're the flying balloons I've been talking about. I want to go up in one so much. I've read about situations like this in a magazine about strange phenomena. Creatures from outer space coming in round flying objects to attack Earth. What? I suppose inhabitants of other planets are bound to be interested in the great exhibition. This is it, Iris. It's happening. It's not. Don't worry. I'll explain it to you all over a nice cup of tea, Runa. This platform must have been set up for the experiment, I suppose. It's very high up. About 30 feet above ground, apparently. That's what the policeman I just spoke to said. I don't really understand feet very well. We don't use them in Japan. You know, like your foot. Just kidding. Oh, yes, sorry. It's about 9 meters. But soon you'll have been in London a year, Bruno. It's about time you got used to our measurements. Yes, well, this thing is so tall and the spectators at the front would have just seen a wall and nothing else. They probably thought they secured the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed. There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel it probably applies here. The darkest spot is These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Ooh. So that's it then. The machine that blew up. Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Oh, of course. Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Runa. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate. Ah, look! Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air? Yes, beamed. Not blasted, that's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. It's not that even possible though, Iris. Oh, Runa, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, if you were to pull this lever here— Stop! Don't touch that! Ah, that was practically instantaneous kinesis, the way you flew over here just now, Grigsy. Oh, please, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. Oh, sorry. You can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ha! Listen up, sunshine. Even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. That blasted special dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that special dispensation. The professor did mention that too. Well, red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Yeah. Surely that's alright, isn't it, Grigsy? Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Runa? She really does know how to get what she wants. Oh, whoops. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. Yeah, we should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I'll kill you before I get strung on myself, you hear? No, I wouldn't touch a thing, I promise. So please, spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? Oh, he asks, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. Well, we can, can't we? Or can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly! The annoying obstructive flaming rules! Oh, look at the base of that machine there. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. It's a screwdriver, I think. Wait. Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of a capital letter A. It is? Oh yes, you're right. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touch anything and I'll make sure I'll kill you before I get strung on myself, I said. Yes, I understand, sorry. I only touch it a teeny weeny bit. But Grigsy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver. Really, very, very curious. Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spun something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Runa found it first. I assure you, I'll investigate it thoroughly. He's gone off with it. Huh, that was very mean. I'm afraid Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now. Poor Gregsy. There are all sorts of strange buildings there here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time. Oh, in your country, Runa? I do wish I could go to see it. I'd present a particularly steely samurai. Oh my god. A particularly steely samurai with the present of one of Hurley's stories I'd written especially. And see if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Baritsu Master Ninjas. You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you think. Oh, well that's dull. Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with Chamage? The Chamage top knot I can introduce you to. Oh, a Chamage, really? Do you think I could have my picture taken with him, do you? Assuming he's recovered from the trim Cosmo gave him a year ago, yes. What is that gigantic thing over there? Looks like an enormous water wheel. Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people right inside those little cabins you can see. Why? Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery. Wait, it's turning? But it looks completely still. Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour. If you were mad enough to go in one, it'd be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think? I feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Runa. The roller coaster. That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing towards the crystal tower. I suppose once people are disassembled on the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going. I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Runa. It was set up to beam people to the crystal tower where they'd be reconstructed in their original form. Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course. I suppose that's true, yes. Oh. No, this game's spoilers for you and stuff? Ah, okay. Thanks for stopping by though, lols. I appreciate it. Do enjoy Great Ace Attorney 2 when you get around to reading it through. I'll be back to Saga or pretty much whenever I finish the third case. So depending on how the sections are portioned out, this might be a 3-4 nighter, depending. But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? So those are people carrying balloons, dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought that the day would come when humans would discover how to fly. I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful floating tamari handballs. I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Runa, please. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it, but without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground. I'm too scared. Oh well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. Yes. Probably crazy, but I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body. And then beam him across to this crystal tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. Yeah, true. That was by far the most unusual of the experience planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous, so many spectators present, I mean. And the government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. I'm more worried about being ahead of the game than in all the spot of public safety infringements. If they can be first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yes, I suppose that's true in a way. So the powers that we place a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment. What sort of rights? They're making it so that any theories that the brains have, they're making it so that any theories the brains have remain in their legal property, as it were. Rather developing it into a practical idea and even go into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. Ah, I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team? Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it. Oh, Gregsy. He's very head up, isn't he? Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch a crime scene here? Oh yeah, behind it, sunshine, is a Special Dispensation Act for Scientific Equipment Act. Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eye as I remember. I'm sure he did, your ladyship, I'm sure he did. Passed especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights that to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Well, think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are little cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions are here. It's all so fun. Well, it might be fun to you, but remember the Force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or inventions need to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. The scientists get funding. Exactly. That's what they're all there for. All these shammers coming far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. I know how to keep them all safe, eh? Who has a smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who? So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science! Hang it! Oh, maybe I can see your point. Apparently Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now. Lives and works in Germany now conducting his research. Oh, that's right. Came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. It turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zeeks. Eh? What's that? That's news to me. What if Van Zeeks' man's prosecution then, as the accused of professor's fate is sealed? Because the Reaper will get him one way or another. That man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zeeks, there's one of his paper around the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper's completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still the Reaper, eh? How long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder? The victim of this case, the investigator Asman. He was another one of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Barrick Van Zeeks is a top-class prosecutor. Even he can't always push the right verdict, though. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court. Although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we've reached is that Lord Van Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't have just coincidentally died if nobody killed them. Oh, I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Professor Harriman mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zieks was a totally different person, easygoing and kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened that changed the man. You have any idea what that was? No clue. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? He's dodged question. Alright, I done here, Mr. Naruto. Sorry? Is it about time you were leaving? Or rather, it is about time you were leaving. That lot are here now. That lot? Forensic investigation team. They'll be giving me the heave-ho in a minute too. Oh dear, poor Gregsy. Here, have another cup of my special blend to cheer you up. Ah, that hit the spot. Yep, it hits every time. Well, at least I've seen the scene with my own eyes. Looks like this is as far as we're going to get with our investigations here, at least. I've been thinking... Hurley might know something, mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Van Zieks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but... Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. Oh, what's this? Some sort of entrance ticket? Madame Tusples. Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it. It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We can go now if you like. No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction. Yes. How do you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Runa. Madame Tusples. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then... stranger things have happened. And when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually... Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes. Why are all the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murderers. I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight. They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked? Wax models? I read about dead bodies and wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called, adipocere. Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, adipocere doesn't form readily, you know. It's only in very specific. Oh! What now? I've just remembered something else I've read. In another magazine about strange phenomena. Oh my god. There's an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display. None of the exhibits here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas. They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them. Oh. There's no way anybody can make models of people that are this realistic. Ah, yes. Truly realistic. And they were all such gruesome scenes. Wait. What is it? Oh, I must be seeing things. Is this an arm? It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxwork models has fallen over. You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you? Bruno, stop scaring me. Is it a wax arm or a real one? Come on, you always pointed that finger of yours in the court. Poke that arm down and see how it feels. Objection! These models are so well made. I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Night at the museum. Ugh. Just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. Is this some infamous murderer? Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women. Jane the Ripper! I knew it! You can tell by the way she's holding that knife. Sure sign of a murderer. Well, yes. Oh! What's the matter, Bruno? I worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have us soak in her victim's gore. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board over here. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub. Really? Sorry. I don't think it's significant. Something has to be there for a reason. That big heavy curtain is in a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it. Oh yes, that's the famous Tussable Special exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. You want to pay the extra fee and have a look? Pay more money to be even more terrified? Ooh, let me think about that for a moment. It was only a suggestion. Is this an example of Western, Tsujigiri? I don't know what that is. You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby with a sword. I still don't know, no. But actually, a waxwork samurai will be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Runo? Doing that Tsujigiri thing you mentioned? Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject, for now, at least. Oh, that's a funny place for a little ladder. What is it? Is something wrong? No, it's just that in Japanese, we have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that. We do in English too, you know. It's called a step ladder, or just steps. So do be careful making assumptions about other cultures, Reno. That's how wars are started. I didn't realize step ladders were an international point of contention, but the writer makes an astute point. It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here. Really? He just changed poses. He is world famous after all. It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes our skin crawl to look at it. I know. But look, Reno, you can kick this Harley and he doesn't move a muscle. Oh my god. You can't just go kick you can't go around kicking the exhibit's iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either. Really? Did it? And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing.
Hold it!
My dear fellow, I take exception to you recalling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes, I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick! Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You wounded me! Maruno had something he needs to ask you. Ah, a question. And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes more being stationary like that. And my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have been turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Harley, you do like to talk nonsense, do you? Or don't you? You could know something. It's true. About Lord Van Zeeks and what happened in the past to change him. Ah, now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For your luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm quite in a hurry. And if our eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion as related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? I wonder where he heard about what we're going to talk about before. We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow. But for now, I must return to my work. What? Back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? What is this place? Madame Tusples came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed a great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they are made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tusples family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. That sounds grim. The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses, right there at the site of the executions. At the That really turns my stomach. That's just one of several legends about the Tuswell's family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is the House of Horrors. The House of Horrors? Of course. Visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition, but people usually flock here to see exhibits of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. Wait, so they're even stiffer now than the models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So the hideous exhibits in here they're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Anyway, I'd advise you not to think too deeply about what you see in here. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? What do you mean by temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them. Every half hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers are in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and have the ravenous iris to consider. Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruto. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Huh. Remember, Mr. Naruto, ignore me at your peril. Is it just me, or did his final remark that sound a lot like a curse? Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zeeks. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust. Perry. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I learned. About Lord Van Zeeks, about Professor Hairbrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zeeks such a different person. Oh, sure that you'd know, Hurley. You said... You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before. That something was afoot. Afoot, you say? And that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes. Something climbed up. Well, it seems we reached the unavoidable... Greeting. Oh, who dis? Hello. Where did she come from? And what's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? I hope you're appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again! My apologies. I'm Esmeralda Tusples. This is my museum of waxwork. You're the Madame Tusples? Bien sure. Though only 26 years young, I might add. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Is that significant somehow? I'm a madam in name only. It has a certain je ne sais quoi? French wax lady. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibits, there will be toil and trouble. She sounds deadly serious. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zeeks now? Let's not forget what Hurley said before. Something about something being afoot right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here. Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tusples? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were, checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. No, that is when she acquired this, savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All of the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they're modeled, in the hours immediately following their executions. That is a secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the people wishes to see. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum. This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians, something for every taste, I hope. It was ours who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Or words to that effect. Naturally, I'm well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some sort of arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree to terms. Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services. For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Or words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment, due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. He doesn't really need to do what he's doing though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50 shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. Is the consulting detective work not going so well? Oh, whoops. Oh my god, this does go on for a while. I wonder, could I ask you about something? Bien sûr. I'm just curious. Is anything going on in the museum at the moment, like some kind of incident perhaps? Oh. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was, your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned... Oh, he disappeared! A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah. There you are! Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working. Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Tuspel, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ at a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer no. I insist upon payment in advance. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage in my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah! Excuse me. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Ah, absolutely none. There is nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madam. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Oh. I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soupcon. Soupcon? I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet somewhat surprisingly, a waxwork killer, one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Well, then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they're always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why? Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Ah, she looks as pale as a candle wax, or as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tusples, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. The game is afoot. That's that dumb pose. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds. That's all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not so much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tusples. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your own special exhibit, for the sum of 200 pounds. None! Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear that the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Ah, unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of 200 pounds. But only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regrets. Oh my god. Sold for cash. Waxwork location. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? And let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating in this museum. I know him very well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards. But next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle. In fact, as if he were a waxwork. But your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I only noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. Threepence. A tragically low price, you might say. Though at the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant 200 pounds. And the sort of plucky behavior that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam? I do not. Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. So, what is this? Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I see I've stunned all you into silence. You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So that would mean he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman. Otter Mole. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether. And it turned out the culprit was the policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Otter Mole. So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed, it's a particularly grim face, is it not? Forgettable, in fact, yes. I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is 200 pounds a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages. If that puts things into perspective. So, it's quite a lot then. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down. That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I'm about to call on your assistant here, Iris, if that's alright, to make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Oh, of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tusbles vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tusbles, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here at this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Sorry to stretch. Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tusbles. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by the public notice. She'd definitely look in this direction, that's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks even for 200 pounds. Okay, hold on. I'm kind of feeling a little bit lightheaded right now. And I also need to stand up. You know, depending on how, I think depending on how I feel, I might actually stop this after the Great Deduction, or whenever we get to the trial. I'll go ask this right now. How much longer is this investigative part going to last before we get to the trial? Is this like the last bit before we go to the trial? Because I'm not sure. No. I guess we have this and then maybe going back to the prison to talk to Professor Albert. But yeah, I'm kind of feeling a little bit woozy right now. I don't know. I just been feeling kind of weird the past couple days. Also, let me go angle my monitor upwards so it's a bit easier on my... Oh shit. It's a bit easier on my neck and all. Oh. She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For not much money I would, but it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the 200 pounds could have had some other significance. Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Also a mouse cursor, sorry. Ah. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madam Tusples, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for a safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is just the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly.
Take that!
The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by the ransom note. Quite so. And we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness, abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds. So, if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? Okay, hold on. Oh man, I really need a stretch break. But I'll keep reading. We could ask him when we could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Ellie is trying so hard. You mustn't let him down. Okay. Now I can sit back down. I really need to stand up for a bit. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tusples trying to hide? Let's have a look around. Madame Tusples has very long hair, doesn't she? Yes, but you couldn't tell from looking at her from the front. You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? The sort of whip that could have floored the gentleman with a single crack. That seems a little far-fetched, even for you, Bruno. This is just Madame Tuspo's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see, her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look! Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please! And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean, it's made of wax?
Take that!
What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that in fact, it's a left hand. Ah, and somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It's the hand of the waxwork model. Yeah. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. Ugh. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result? The scene we see here before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later. But for the time being, we have a conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let's consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. Now, Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets isn't any true detective's nature, of course. Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tuspo's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man, quite correctly. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be. Ah, well that settles that then. Right, this isn't a real person at all. His entire arms were ripped off, from the shoulder down. His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here is the young Sergeant John Clay. Is in fact defying all odds. A waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn to our attention to the old man sat before him, with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost in fact as if he were a waxwork. Ah, but your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. A killer policeman called Otter Mole, was it? Was he well known? It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price though. Threepence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman Otter Mole? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see whether another idea crops up. Look at this. The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. He seems to be fast asleep though. He's not tapping his foot conspicuously then, or consciously then. So you mean, it must be a twitch. Never mind that, the point is the waxworks don't tap their feet, or twitch. And look at his arm too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we?
Take that!
The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even though the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives then. And there you have it! Well, Miss Tusples. Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He's clearly fatigued and is sound asleep. But then, was this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at the local market. And I presume you observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Of course, because as you know, there's been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard is already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Elementary. All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoyed this spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I have no doubt he'll regain consciousness, shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically, it was. Then I would ask you to recount us the events surrounding this stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar in society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? The Professor case happened around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes. At exactly the time that Barrick Van Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying... So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life. As you surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was this Professor then? It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at the present, on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow. Why is it that the Professor earned such infamy? It was due to the victims he chose. Some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Oh, wait, of course. What Professor Harebrained said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family with noble blood. Oh gosh. Excuse me. It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. No, I don't believe it. Van Zieks? I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barrick pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually came the Reaper you know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit? I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh yes, of course. It's been a pleasure, thank you. Well, none of the particular scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Oh. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barrick. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. Oh, I can't forgive myself what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it. It could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me that he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Eric, are you really? What? Oh, never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Oh, of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barrick. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. God damn. To be continued. Nope, no conflict of interest here. Nope, no siree, this is perfectly fine. But okay. This is where I'm gonna be leaving it for tonight. It is now midnight. And I'm pretty tired. Because there's no way I can go through the entire trial with the remaining time of the night, and also pretty hungry right now, but I don't really want to keep eating any more like midnight meals. That's kind of getting bad for me. But yeah. So we'll continue. Actually, hold on. Yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow. So yeah.